Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Hi, Mark. Thank
Hello.
you for being here in your pretty orange shirt. And I know that you really hit. You know, there's a TV show about orange, you know, with these women with something to do with orange. I forget what the name of that was. But we see so much disagreement in society, and we hope that our family doesn't have the same thing. But you know, and I'm not going to do into politics, but even politics, families are disagreeing. They don't usually. In my family, it was always we were one way and that was it. But now it seems like disagreeing is popular, and I don't know why that's true. Why is it?
Well, you know what? It's popular. It's okay to disagree, and everybody's allowed to have their own thoughts and feelings. But it gets to the point now where it creates problems with handling interfamily relationships and issues. So, you know, when mothers stop talking to their sons and husbands stop talking to their wives and kids stop talking to the parents, nothing gets accomplished in the house. And it's just horrible. People hate each other, literally hate each other today because of what they see. And I'm not going to go political, but they see it on television with our Congress. Okay, the way they act in public is just abhorrent. It's horrible, and it's been on my mind for a while, and I deal with it a lot within families, and I try to make suggestions, and we try to get things done. Nobody wants to agree about anything, and they lose track of the real prize, and the prize is, what do we do to take care of our parents? Okay, nobody wants to agree because what makes you better than me?
That's very true. So you can talk about money, but that's the other issue. They don't agree on what the parents need, and the parents, of course, suffer with all this. But I just want to refer back to your article, the March issue that's just coming out. Mark writes every month, but this month he wrote something called Family Disagreements. And it was very impactful. I think that we've all had this. I mean, my own family, I've seen it, and I have a lot of other family, other friends that have family problems. And one very serious situation, it's not my own, but that when someone leaves a will and a trust, you expect it to be adhered to. But then people pop up, ancestors, I call them ancestors. Some of them haven't seen the deceased for years, and all of a sudden they want a piece of the action to the point where they hire their own lawyers. That's happened to a situation that I've seen. That's despicable.
Yeah, I've had that. I've actually mediated wills like that. Where families couldn't get together, and the sad part is that there was a small estate. Maybe it was worth $300,000, and there were 4 kids. So. I guess the way things worked out, 2 of them didn't think it was fair, 2 of them did. So they take sides. So brother and sister team up against another brother and sister. And what happened over a 5-year period was the lawyer sucked up $270,000 out of the $300,000. So it was easy for me. I came in and I said, look, give it another 6 months. There'll be nothing for you to worry about. Take the 30. And they did. And, but they could have had so much more.
And I think, and I knowing you probably agree with this. It isn't really the money. It's the power. It's someone that wasn't loved enough, or this happened, or they're taking it out on a family member of some years ago. So that's really, and that's a new term I heard, and I'm sure you heard of a hospice will.
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, there is such a thing as a hospice will. This was really a case where the will was done 4 or 5 years ago, and the 2 sons came in, and in the last 3 months they went and had another will done with their father because he was not knowing what he was doing, and they thought they would get away with it. But a very good lawyer called it a hospice will, but it's still taken a lot of the money away because it had to go through a lot of lawyers. But that was a new term for me also.
Yeah, I've had that. I mean, I've had.
You just didn't know it was.
I didn't know it was called
that.
a hospice will. Yeah, that's it's not typical. Most of the time, things work as planned.
Yeah,
okay?
They work as
there are issues.
Better or not, right?
That's right.
But in family disagreements, and of course putting your CPA hat on, which is even more interesting, you said something that was very smart, that there's a certain amount of money that some people are going to receive. But if they're not smart about it, that money is going to dissipate and there'll be nothing. So you have to almost be a psychologist, don't you, to try to help them see that.
There are. I just got my will updated a couple of weeks ago, and I have 3 kids, but they're not all equal. Okay, not that I don't want to equalize whatever they might get from me, but there's different ways to do things. Okay, and you can't just give some people money and expect them to do the right thing with it. So you have to protect it for them. All right, and as I explained to my attorney, I don't want to control any of my assets from the grave. That's not my intent. I hope to be in the position where I can give my money away while I'm alive, and see a smile on my kids' faces when they need it. So that would be the best opportunity that I would recommend that to everybody if they can afford to do that.
Okay, so let me give you another scenario. Now we have a lot of second marriages.
A lot of problems.
Yeah, a lot of problems, because here's a situation where the gentleman, this is something that I knew, the man had a lot of money, and and his wife died, and he was a good father or a good husband, and now he finds another person, and he's very much in love with her. Well, instead of the family being happy for them, and of course he has set aside enough money for his children, they are just making life miserable for him. And I said, it's not their money, it's his money. He gets to do whatever he wants with it. So where does that all come from?
Just greed, just the way the way people see. That nobody wants anybody honing in on what they believe is rightfully theirs, and you don't really see that. Typically, there may be some little hints or clues that might have happened when kids were younger, but you don't usually see that until somebody gets into that position, and then all of a sudden people want to protect their territory, and it's just human nature. Unless they are, well enough off themselves that they don't have to worry about it, and there are circumstances like that.
But Mark Morowitz, CPA, is my guest, and I'm so ferocious. I put on my hat that, working with the elder population for so long, I say, listen, it's that person's money. It's not your money. They get to do whatever they want with that money, but they don't get it.
I agree with that. I told clients that, sons and daughters, I've told them, cause I think I might have mentioned one on another interview one time that I had one client that gave some money to her grandchildren for the holidays, and they were brother and a sister, and the sister had 4 kids, the brother had 2 kids.
Right.
So the brother thought that he thought that it was his money that his mother was giving to his sister. And I just looked at it. Forget about the amount of money it was. It's just so petty. But that's where those family disagreements come in. That goes way back to when those kids were grown. When the brother and sister were growing up, there must have been some incredible conflicts between them, and it manifests itself 40, 50 years down the road.
So I have a good one. See, this is funny. When I read this, all this junk started coming back to me. My father had 3 brothers, and my father was the attorney, and they had a pact that, we're all going to share and share alike. And they agreed upon that. So when my grandmother died, with all the extra little things, they found a $5,000 CD to one of the grandchildren. So they said it has to come in. It has to go to the whole thing. Oh, no, that's my daughter's CD. Do you know that they didn't, and it broke up those 4 boys? They didn't talk to each other for years. Now, you talk about that. Is that insane?
It's just the way it is sometimes, and it's really sad. But, the worst part of it is that people don't have, nobody wants to address the elephant in the room. So when those people get together, and they're going to get together someplace, nobody has the courage to go up to a sister or brother and say, hey, you know what? You really upset me, and this is what I'm upset about. Let's talk about it, and we'll give each other a hug, and we'll go home and we'll be friends again.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that?
Yeah.
That was the basis behind my article in this.
Yeah, it
this
was,
month.
because I guess you see a lot of that, and of course, we see so much in the news, not even the political part, but just people hurting other people, and that's. But disagreeing is okay, as you said. If you do it in a very nice manner, and you say, look, this is the way I feel, that's the way you feel, and let's just let it go. But because you're a CPA, you are in a fiscal situation with people, so
Right.
it isn't just casual. It isn't like I don't like her and I don't like him. There's money to be given out.
Right.
So now we have the whole thing, wills and trusts, and that you can say, as the person, I think there's I don't call it a legacy will or something. You actually get to say what you want, not monetarily. Now I don't know if we've
Sure.
discussed that before, but you know what I'm saying. It's your saying who you are and your feelings and what you think.
Right. I think I'm going to videotape my will.
You're going to do this.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to, because nobody wants to hear what I have to say, and you know what? It's very difficult to approach. I have adult children, but nobody wants to hear that their parent might die someday, and but we all do, and we have to express ourselves. And there are some things that I know. I come from a family that said, no, I don't want to hear about that right now. And
years ago,
when
yeah.
do you hear about it? So when it's too late. So they'll hopefully get my video and maybe I'll YouTube it or something and let them find it. Who knows?
Okay, I know. That's no. But does that happen from when your family's all together at the beginning, that you have that relationship, or is that something that people just don't talk about and then it blows up, or is it what advice? Let's give some people advice.
Okay.
What should we give people advice as to how to manage this?
So it typically happens when outsiders are introduced to the nuclear family unit. Okay, and now from the perspective of a son who becomes a husband, you now have a wife that you have to go home to, and you know what they say, happy wife, happy life. So you tend to maybe side with your wife just to keep the peace in the family. Then mom comes in and says, I can't believe that you're, and all of a sudden it blows up. Okay, that's just, I'm not blaming mom, or I'm just saying that this is the way that people deal with stuff. And if we could all just, of course it'll never happen, if we could all just be honest and tell you what's on my, if I tell you what's on my mind, okay, you may hate me, but tomorrow you'll say, you know what, okay, maybe I disagree with it, but okay, he had the guts to tell me what's on his mind. Maybe he's got a point, okay? Maybe he doesn't have a point, but I'm not going to dismiss him because he's telling me. And that's where we are today. People get dismissed for disagreeing.
Well, also, let's think about years ago. We didn't have the communication skills or the communication we do today. And people lived in their little neighborhood and they were all together, and this other family watched this family, and maybe they must have had disagreements then too. I'm not saying they didn't, but maybe they were less.
You know what?
What do you think?
I'll tell you what. From my own family, my mother had a twin brother who they didn't get along. They never got along for whatever reasons, and I frankly don't know the real reasons, and really don't care. But I saw my uncle 3 times, I think. And because he was banished from our house, and my mother didn't like my father's sister, and so I never saw them. Okay, so this is when families, and then I see big families today with cousins, and it would have been wonderful for my kids to know that they have this big family out there, and everybody could have gotten together on holidays and things like that. Because my mother ruled the roost, and she said, I don't want to see those people. And so who suffers? So you learn that from a very young age, and the kids learn that. And then what chance when the kids grow up and have their own families, what chance do their kids have to make that better? Unless they say, you know what, I think that was the wrong way for my mother to approach things. Maybe I'm going to do things different. Sometimes it's too late to do that. Kids get a little too old, and then they just keep carrying on that same way of doing things throughout generations.
You're listening to Mark Morowitz, and I'm just going to tell you something, and I'm going to let's see, and I don't, your phone number isn't in my, tell everybody your phone number. It's not on my sheet.
My phone number is...
Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry. But go ahead. You can tell it anyway.
609.
Yeah, it's here.
338
Right.
3603.
Right.
That's 609 338 3603.
Yeah, it's right here. And that's for a free consultation. And what Mark really does is so special because it takes a lot of guts to do what he does, to, as he says it as it is, but what he likes to do is have somebody who just can't figure it out for themselves. Their family they don't want to be involved, and probably the person doesn't want their family to be involved, and they can go to Mark and they can tell him everything. He has big shoulders and he's a good listener and he's smart, and it's like having the son that you would love to have, but there's no relation. It's not a relation. He's a business person, but he's a kind, gentle, very good person who's very smart. And so if you're sitting in your home and you're having concerns about a lot of the things we've been talking about, but you can't go to your family, you don't want to talk to your friends about it, why don't you call Mark? That's what he does. He'll sit with you. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks you can do, and if you like it, fine. And you could have him for months if you want. I mean, he'll see you every week. He'll help you. I'm sure there are things that you don't have someone to really talk to, and that's what I think you started this week when we first started talking, didn't you?
I think I'm like a psychiatrist who doesn't prescribe medication. I prescribe listening skills and speaking skills. And the interesting thing is that I'm very private when it comes to my own life. Sagittarians tend to keep things bottled up, and we don't let it out to the public.
True?
It is true. Most people.
Okay.
And yet, most people outside of my family, yesterday I got a phone call from an older client who is having a lot of problems at home with her husband, and she called me yesterday and she said, I need to tell you this. I need to tell somebody this. And she's got kids, and she said, I've never told anybody this. And she said, I can't even tell my psychiatrist. I said, but you're going to tell me? She says, I can tell you that I need to unburden myself. So I guess I have some kind of listening skills. I guess she felt that I could relate to her and she could relate to me, and she unburdened herself. And I told her she needs to tell her family and she needs to tell her psychiatrist, And I think because I said that, maybe she will. She needed to hear it from somebody she trusted, who was not not close enough family. I mean, I'm a friend. I'm her accountant. But I guess I can just do that with people. I'm compassionate and understanding, and and non-judgmental, and that's what people want today. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't know about. We look at people and we look at families and say, well, what a wonderful family. I wish we had that, and then you find out that it's not so wonderful. But everybody hides it, and people live like that. They live under the pressure of having guilt and dark clouds over their head for years and years because they don't want to. They're afraid that somebody's going to judge them. So I am the guy. I'm like I hate to use the word confessional, but maybe people can look at me as like a priest or something, and can confess things to me.
I was thinking,
as long as it's not criminal,
right, of
it's
course.
Okay,
I was thinking your next article title could be "Unburden Yourself." Come see me,
perhaps,
because that's a very good word.
Yeah,
because people do carry all these deep, dark feelings and secrets, and it's possible that who can they tell it to? They're never sure who they can do that with. So I think that's a very good idea that you were able to help. I think, look, I have things. I think everyone has things, and usually you have a very close friend or you have one family member that you can tell things to, but it depends what it is. You never know.
I find it to be rare. People just don't go that. They have a wonderful friend. They just stop short of the really super important stuff. So, who's the one? I don't know. It's supposed to be a spouse, right?
Right.
But sometimes those things don't work out too. So.
Yeah, no, that's right. Okay, so Mark Morowitz, this is who we're talking with, and he writes an article every month in Boomer Times. You can read about it, and we're very happy that he shares his knowledge. So let's just go back into this tax season. I'd like to ask you a few questions because I've seen that a lot of people thought that they were going to get great tax breaks, and it's not happening, or something's happening there that was not done.
Well,
Was it? What is it?
Here's what people don't understand. Okay. When people get refunds, all right, it's money that they loan to the government throughout the year that they get back at the end of the year. They make interest-free loans to the government. They withhold too much money from their pay, or they pay in too much in estimated tax based on, for people that don't work, the tax that they pay in the current year is based on last year's income. So if this year's income goes down, you're paying in too much. What happened last year with the tax law change was that, and I just found this out recently, the tax rates were lowered. There were deductions that were eliminated, hopefully offset by the decrease in the tax rates. For people who worked every week, I think it was middle of February, there was change in the withholding tables. So the amount of the amount of money that people were taking home, I think averaged about $20 a week more in people's pay. All right. So, but what was supposed to happen was that they were supposed to take home maybe $10 a week more based on the new tax laws. But there was a mandate that came down from the administration to the Internal Revenue Service that said, when you do your withholding tables, I want you to withhold less so that people think they're getting more in their paycheck. And that's what's happening now. They're paying the piper because at the end of the year, they didn't have enough money withheld from their pay. So they think that their refunds went down. It's not really the fact that their refunds went down. It's the fact that they didn't pay in as much. And people forget. So what I tell people is you got to go back to last March. All right, look at your pay stub from last March if you make about the same. Take a look at the federal withholding that you had in March of 2017 versus what you have in March of 2018. See what the difference is, okay? And that's where the answer is going to lie.
Yeah, because I heard a lot of people were very disappointed they didn't understand it. But, you know, I was always fearful of all this tax change too. And how do you, as a CPA and other companies like this, how can you keep up with it? They said there are thousands of pages in the new tax law. How do you do that?
You practice. You know, that's why they call it practice. I've been practicing for 43 years. You read as much as you can. I have 40 hours of continuing education that I have to do every year. And most of the tax changes were not difficult tax changes. They were significant, and you just kind of let it play out on when you prepare somebody's tax return. Everybody has computer programs today, so we look at it, and you have to review everything that you put in to make sure that your output is going to be what's supposed to be there. You have to learn. So when I hear people saying, "Oh, you know, my friend's going to do it," I say that's fine. You know, I can't do everybody's tax return, but
right.
you know, we do keep up with hopefully everybody should keep up with the new laws. But I spent the year before in December, after they announced these tax law changes, I spent my time advising my clients of how the new tax code would affect their current income. So when people came in and said, well, I paid, you know, $1,000 in tax this year, what would it be if the same thing happened next year? And I said it would be $800. So you'd save $200, or maybe it would be more. And there were some people that got hurt. There were some people that made out on it. The people that got hurt, typically the people that what we consider middle class, that had paid high property taxes and high income state income taxes in the Northeast. Okay, and don't have any kids to make it up in credits, so they eliminated those deductions. All right, and they lowered the tax rate, but not enough to make up for those deductions. So those people typically got hurt.
So
got a lot of angry clients.
Right, and I know. I think, didn't we talk about dogs before? You have dogs, or you like dogs, or something? I forget.
No, my son had a dog.
Your son had a dog, right? But I think if you don't have children, you have a dog. The dog needs to get a tax deduction, and the reason is you spent a lot of money on your dog.
Absolutely.
Compared to what you even spent on your kid.
There are people that try that, by the way. That get
Did
their,
they? I didn't know that.
They make up phony Social Security numbers. Well, they get their dog's
Oh,
Social
you're
Security
kidding!
numbers,
I didn't know that happened.
yeah, they try.
Oh, I didn't want it to
They
be
try.
phony. I just wanted it to be just if you have a dog, you know, he gets
Yeah.
a tax.
Well, there's a lot of tax fraud out there, and there's people find a way to circumvent the system, and unfortunately, it falls on the CPA, the tax preparer's head now. We're the one that have to ask questions and be the policeman when people, have to ask people for their driver's licenses and just crazy stuff that or to look at their grocery bills and things like that, and or some they have to prove to me that they have a child. They have to see the Social Security number and the Social Security card, and if they don't have it, I know that they're fraudulent.
So you're running into this yourself.
It's
You're not
rare.
sure, but
It's rare, but
you're thinking you are.
it happens. It happens quite a bit.
Okay, so give us your phone number again, Mark, just so everybody has it. It's Mark Morowitz, Morowitz.
609-338-3603. I need to get one of those jingles. Actually.
Yeah, right. We need a jingle.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, we do. Well, actually, we do have jingles. But it's been great. I love talking with you. I learn a lot, and I feel like I'm a compatriot with you because I have all these stories also like you have. Mark, thank you very much, and have safe travels when you go up north, and then hurry back.
Thank you. And if I could just say one more thing.
Sure.
Vote wisely.
Yeah, vote wisely. That's true, but do vote. Everybody should vote. Yeah, don't vote if you're not going to vote wisely. Right, I like that.
Thank you.